Brady rolls his Brady throws. Pass deflected. Intercepted. The Broncos are the American Football Conference champions. They're going to Super Bowl 50.
Cam Newton trucking right to the 5. Leaps for the end zone. Touchdown. The Carolina Panthers are headed to Super Bowl 50.
And speaking of Super Bowl 50, let's go ahead and make some picks. Peyton Manning versus Cam Newton, Broncos versus Panthers. This is actually the 6th matchup between two #1 seeds, but the first time two QBs selected #1 overall will face one another in the Super Bowl. So we are here at the DiGiorno Make the Right Call pick board. You guys hold your heads up high, no pun intended, as you can see there. All right, so who are you picking? Ladies first. Kate?
Let's see.
We don't have all the time. You can't think about this too long.
I'm picking the Panthers.
This is not Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Put it in here.
All right.
Here's why. Because I think the reason the Broncos had a shot against New England felt like they had this like sliver of this that they could go through in terms of pressuring Tom Brady. And they could do so without blitzing all the time. They could have their front four, get some pressure on him. And historically, Tom Brady, if you got like a certain level of pressure on him, his percentage dropped, and his performance, his QB rating, and all of that dropped. And so there was this, Wade Phillips had this way where he could kind of scheme the Broncos into the Super Bowl. I don't think that same thing exists with the Carolina Panthers. I'm not sure that you can pressure Cam Newton. He's been amazing against the blitz. So that Broncos defense, while it's amazing, needs to do something special to get after Cam Newton. And this year, he has been better against the blitz. He's great against pressure. He can run. I'm not sure there's much that the Broncos can do to contain that. So we need scores too, right?
Yep.
So I'm going 24-13. Carolina wins.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, George?
All right, I'm going to make my pick here, and I'm going to go right here.
Ah, tricky. Thought you were going to be the one
A man
to
that
pick the
never straddles the line got close to the line. I, like Kate, also think Cam Newton is going to be a big reason here. The reality is the Denver Broncos haven't seen a guy like Cam Newton, okay? They haven't been able to play against a quarterback that's that mobile. Now, granted, they've played against some bigger quarterbacks like a Ben Roethlisberger or whatnot, but Cam, particularly in the red zone and near the end zone, is unstoppable. I mean, you can't stop their offense once they're down there. And I think as great as the Broncos defense is, they're going to have some trouble getting to him because he's so mobile, because he can do so many things on the move and on the run. I think that's part of it. I also think that the Carolina Panthers secondary is very opportunistic, okay? And we've seen Peyton Manning, even though it wasn't against the Patriots, we've seen him this year struggle at times throwing the ball down the field. And I think at some point they're going to have to try to do that. And I think the Carolina Panthers secondary will make an easy day, potentially, of Peyton Manning. So I like the Carolina Panthers 26-17.
All right, everybody's liking the Carolina Panthers. Freddie?
So am I going to be the one to go
to be the one?
Denver Broncos? Am I going to be the
Do
first?
it, Freddie. Come on.
That's not a no. That's just a hell no. There's no way I'm doing that because, to your point, George and Kate, about their defense, the Carolina Panthers defense, people talk about Josh Norman and Luke Kuechly for good reasons, but the guy that led them in interceptions was Marco Coleman, their safety, a guy that was discarded by the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Kansas City Chiefs did not bring him back, and look what he's able to do in the secondary, really controlling things, even when they had injuries that cost them a couple of players. But they're facing an old-school offense that led the NFL in scoring at over 31 points per game in the Carolina Panthers. Keep an eye on Jonathan Stewart. Everyone talks about Cam Newton, but Jonathan Stewart and that offensive line have been really good so far in the first 2 games of this postseason. He had that 59-yard run the first play of the game against Seattle against an outstanding defense, and they just trucked them in the first half, leading 31-0. Wade Phillips is one of the great defensive minds we've seen in the NFL in the last 15 to 20 years. Not a good head coach, but that man can dial up a defense, and that's what he's been able to do with the Denver Broncos. But the middle of that offensive line, led by Trey Turner in the middle, that match with him and Derek Wolfe, that could decide this game because I think both defenses will try to impose their will on the quarterbacks. I think the Carolina Panthers defense, to your point, George, by being opportunistic, Luke Kuechly back-to-back picks for touchdowns in the first 2 games of the postseason. That and that offense, getting in the red zone, not settling for field goals, getting touchdowns. I like Carolina. It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out battle. I got them winning at 27-16.
Man, you know what? No one wants to go against the grain. If I had a head, I would have put it on the Broncos.
Maybe Vince Vaughn.
I would have. I totally would have. I totally would have.
I
would have. No, I'm serious. Our
Don't lie on
producer
national TV.
It's all about Super Bowl experience. Broncos have 18 players versus the Carolinas. They have 6 players.
Broncos have more experience in Seattle 2 years ago. How did that get them?
All right, we're moving on. Hey, can you imagine the NFL near the Strip and the Bellagio and the MGM Grand in Vegas? Is this really a good idea to put a team there? We'll talk about that now.
Of course it is.
Yeah, it is.
A time that has come.
Vegas. Booking a flight.
First Take is brought to you by Applebee's. Try new grill and bar favorites made a little better for you.
The Vegas Raiders, it's an interesting concept that the NFL sent out a memo to all 32 teams, essentially leaving the door open for a team in Las Vegas. The Raiders' lease with the Oakland Coliseum ends next month. So with that in mind, in an interview with the San Mercury News, Raiders owner Mark Davis says the team will most likely stay in Oakland in 2016. So guys, is it a good idea for a team to move to Vegas? Kate?
Well, let me preface it by saying I don't ever advocate for teams leaving cities because I know how painful that is for the fans in the existing city. So it's not like I think it's an amazing idea because I know there'd be a lot of Oakland fans who would be devastated, and you don't ever want to wish for that. But if we can pull apart that and abstractly look at the idea of having an NFL team in Las Vegas, it'd be pretty fun, right? It would be pretty great. And it feels like in the past, the reason to not do it was this sort of arbitrary reason of gambling, and we don't want the optics of having an actual NFL franchise in this city and coordinated with gambling. But we all know that it's just proliferated to the point now where there's no distinction between the amount of gambling that's going to happen if there's an NFL franchise in the city or if there's not. And it seems like this kind of arbitrary line in the sand that the NFL has drawn that, according to the memo, doesn't actually exist. So it would be a fun concept, but I feel for the Raiders fans.
I agree with Kate. The Raiders need to be in Northern California. But if they were to leave, Vegas would be the place. Because when you think of the Raiders, particularly in their heyday, you think of wild, volatile, and just crazy, insane, right? Debaucherous. That's Vegas. That's the exact same description as Vegas. So I think that makes sense. I agree with Kate in the sense that there's this stigma of Vegas and gambling. Look at people like Adam Silver, okay? He's sitting there. He's telling us we should just legalize gambling in general, okay? And I think I'm with him at this point. We need to just stop babying people. And ultimately, we've had the NHL has had an all-star game there. The NBA has had an all-star game there. The NHL's talking about moving a franchise there. So, you know what? Let's go. Let's just do it. If Oakland can't get it sorted out, Vegas is a good option.
I don't know why we have not had a pro sports franchise in that city. Why is it taking so long to even have more of a discussion and say, okay, maybe we should think long and hard about this? Vegas, not saying, I don't know if we can get into the whole, they deserve a franchise, they deserve an NFL team, NBA team, whatever. But that city thumps 24/7. I'm a native New Yorker. Las Vegas makes New York look like a convent. Thumping 20. Why would you not want to have a pro sports franchise in a city that is never going to sleep in Las Vegas? The action is always going to be there. No matter what you think about gambling, you can be on one side or the other. But you know they're going to attract fans in Las Vegas for a pro sports franchise, whether it's the NFL or whatever. So why has it taken this long for a pro sports franchise to have not been in Las Vegas? I think this should have happened a while ago.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fan base. A lot of people are concerned that it's too transient of a city.
But they move a team to Los Angeles. They move a team to Los Angeles.
Miami is transient.
I mean, Los Angeles is the ultimate transient city. Ultimate transient. That's why they moved the team there, because they know so many different fans live there that are going to go watch the LA Rams play.
And the people who pass through Vegas are ready to spend money, which should be the key idea for the NFL.
Yeah, you get like a pool party like the Jaguars have. You put that in the Vegas Stadium.
Your ideas are already
these are so expensive.
For sure. Let's just do it. Put them at the
You can remake Ocean's 11 in Las Vegas
Leave
now
it
with
up
the
to the
football
Miami
team.
boy to just start coming up, conjuring ideas.
Bottle service. Okay.
Listen, if I was a rookie in the NFL, I would definitely want to go to Las Vegas. And on that note, we are done. Freddie, George, Kate, I'm Prim, Molly, Skip, and Stephen A. will be live from San Francisco tomorrow morning. They'll be there.